welcome to Conversations from the Vault. I am so excited to be interviewing one of my good friends and actually one of my first friends in the wedding industry, Sarah Greenberg, also known as @FYParties on Instagram, which stands for Forever Young Events. So I am so excited to have Sarah here. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's start with who is Sarah Greenberg? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
I am a wedding planner. I do some other events, but I'd say mainly a wedding planner, and I help create everyone's dream wedding weekend.
Okay, so Sarah and I met a couple years ago already, about 5 years ago. We were introduced by one of our clients, and really I've learned so much about the wedding industry through Sarah. Sarah, how long have you actually been doing this?
I started my company about 10 years ago as a side hustle. It's called Forever Young because I was doing kids' parties and celebrations where I think everyone wants to act like a child. I mean, obviously. And I did my first wedding back in 2015.
Wow, okay. So you've been doing this a while, but there's a lot of wedding planners who I feel like have been in the industry for decades, and you're definitely one of the newer, up and coming, well, you've already gotten there, but I feel like you're really a disruptor in the industry. So how do you find that you approach weddings compared to maybe some others in the industry? What sets you apart?
Oh, disruptor.
Yeah.
Love that word, right? Sort of, definitely. I think what's different about me is that I really turned to social media around the time of the pandemic and was giving out, all different types of advice, sometimes even, let's call it, free advice, and helped clients who needed, assistance with the postponements. And I just turned to social. I wanted everyone to see my personality and me on camera and the little silly, stupid things I do all day, because I think that allows for everyone to see who I am and want to have a relationship with me, not just a transactional, hiring a wedding planner, here's the money.
I actually think makes so much sense, and that's so smart, because when you're hiring a wedding planner, obviously there's so many talented planners out there, and I hope to have a lot more of my friends on this podcast, but I think when you're really hiring a planner, they're with you for a good, let's say, year of your life. Not only are you a planner, we always joke, you're a therapist. Mm-hmm. You are keeping the bride calm. You become their best friend, right? So it's much more than just a wedding planner who make sure logistics are good.
Yeah.
You really spend time with your clients, and I have seen, for some reason, they become obsessed with you. Why is everyone so obsessed with you? What is that about?
I don't know about obsessed with me. I think that we established, and we have such a rapport, and we just have a really good friendship, and I want everybody that I work with to feel comfortable to call me about what they think is the dumbest or silliest question, or they're having a bad day, or whatever they want to talk about. I want them to be able to talk to me about it, and I think it goes both ways. So I'm kind of obsessed with a lot of my clients. So
I love that.
It's mutual.
Shout out to all your amazing FY brides. Okay, so
and grooms.
Let's get into it a little bit. Obviously, with wedding planning, sometimes comes some drama, whether that's family dynamics, whether it's conversations around budget. It is kind of a stressful time. So how do you guide your clients in situations where there's something a little uncomfortable? What's your best advice on how to handle that?
I think the money conversations and budget conversations are always the trickiest, but I always say to have the money conversations between the parents in their earlier part of planning, so that you don't wait too long to have it, fall in love with certain things that you want for your wedding, and then we have to say no or pivot, or I get in trouble by the parents because we went over budget. We try to avoid that. So I'm always honest. I try not to sugarcoat things and just give the clients a heads up on what the hard stuff's going to be, whether it's family dynamics or, parents are divorced and haven't seen each other, and the first time they're going to see each other is at the wedding. So like preparing the bride and groom for that. I think the trickiest is usually family and also money. Anything money related can get really
like
tough.
anything in life.
Get really tough.
So we also have, I'll let you guys in on a little secret from the vault. Sarah and I have a running joke that every day there seems to be another line item, and it's just another 20K here and there. And I think a lot of you brides can understand what that feels like, and sometimes how stressful it is, and how money starts to feel a little bit like Monopoly money. So if you're, let's say, 2 months out from your wedding and you're starting to feel like, oh, it's just another 20K. All these vendors are telling me they want a little bit more here, a little bit more there. Where do you think brides can kind of put their foot down, and where do you think for those last minute details that might fall out of the sky, they should be spending their time and money?
That's a good one. But I do think that there's always that incidental money that I put in a budget that is not always correct. It's not always the right amount, but I can't predict what my brides and grooms are going to want, when we're starting planning 12 months to 18 months before. So I mean, I would say you have to assess the overall, what's the most important. And sometimes you have to take something away or not lock in that Eddie's food truck because you already have 3 other food trucks. Like, you don't need 4 food trucks, we just need 1. So it's kind of more just figuring out like what like the must-have is.
Okay, and I think obviously that's super personal. So
Yeah.
we had asked some of our followers for some questions for Sarah, and one question I thought was kind of a hot topic. What do you think about photo booths at a wedding? Obviously they're fun, we want to capture the moment, but they can also be a bit of a distraction. What's your opinion on photo booths at a wedding? Must have, or kind of cross that off the list?
I would say it's usually one of the last things that we lock in from budgetary reasons, but also like from a layout perspective. So I think a photo booth is super fun, and shout out to all my photo booth companies I work with. But I would never say that it is absolutely not necessary, but I think that everyone has a different taste of what they want their wedding to look like and what they want their guests to be doing. The first thing everyone says is we want little to no sitting, and we want everybody on the dance floor. So, when you have a photo booth, you have to put that near the bar. Or you could do a roaming photo booth. You can have someone walking around. It's a little bit more interactive.
I love that. I think they're so fun.
Yeah, that's a fun twist, but it's definitely something we usually wait on just from a layout perspective. But I don't think you need it to have an amazing wedding or an event, but I do think that it could be fun.
And also, if you have an amazing photographer who will turn around photos fast, then that's a pro as well.
But most photo booths that do get booked, we don't do props anymore.
Props out.
That's not really a thing.
Who knew? You heard it here first.
It's not a thing.
No more props, no more hats, no more boas?
No, the hats are a thing for later on in the night, but like for a photo booth, no props.
Where are you seeing props? I feel like you've done some really cool things with props for after parties.
Yeah, so for after parties, we're doing a lot of hats, like custom hats, keeping it more
baseball caps.
Yeah,
or like
baseball hats. I mean, one of my amazing clients, we were out in the Hamptons, so she did a bucket hat, which was super cute. Light up foam sticks, tambourines are cute for an after party, or if you're not doing an after party, which some people don't do it, I know, it's shocking. You could pass it out like the end of the wedding, so like the last dance set.
So do you find that clients are also doing little gifts, takeaway gifts, or is it more about the swag and like, let's say the food truck after late night experience?
I think it depends on the venue, because some venues you can't have a food truck or you can't do something like that. But I usually say if we're going to do a takeaway, it should absolutely be something edible, which is funny because they just ate for hours, but like everyone walks out and they still want something.
I mean, everyone wants drug pizza.
Yeah, so. I mean, savory food, like pizza is a huge hit. I mean, egg sandwiches at the end could be cool. Pop-Up Bagels just did one event with me. That was great. but like something sweet or something savory is a nice takeaway. But like little tchotchkes or, a magnet and stuff like that is not as popular right now.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you are a bride and for whatever reason you don't have a wedding planner, whether that's budget or you're kind of one of those type A girls who you're like, I got this, I can do this all on my own, what is your advice for them?
Well, I would say you could plan a wedding without a wedding planner. Like having a wedding planner is a luxury to some, but it's also depending on what your work schedule is and you need that extra assistance. So anyone who's planning without a planner, I always say just don't keep your questions inside. So like if you're working with particular vendors or the venue, like ask everything. Don't think that something is stupid or that you shouldn't ask. Like you have to get all that information now from other people versus just one professional. But just try to stay calm and don't sweat the small stuff, like I always like to say.
And follow Sarah, since she's always giving away tips on her Instagram.
I do that. I do that.
So in terms of like maybe tips and vendors, I know you have a select few that you love working with. Any vendors in New York who you feel like are doing really incredible things right now that you want to shout out?
It's a loaded question.
I know. We love so many people.
We do love so many people, and I have the pleasure and honor of working with so many great vendors in every single, aspect of wedding planning. I'd say from like a photography standpoint, JMO James, Felix, those are two of my very good friends. They're doing amazing work with me and a lot of other people right now. Brett Matthews, Fred Marcus, Anthony Vasca, those are phenomenal companies. Also doing photo and video. So like some photographers don't do video, so like they're great. Floral side, again, depends on your style, but like Ivie Joy, Constantinos, Jennifer Gould, Tontuan, the Andrew Pascoe, oh my God, love him. He does a lot of stuff with me on Long Island. He's great. Hair and makeup?
Hair and makeup, yeah. I mean,
gotta pick the glam squad. Can't forget the glam squad.
Exactly.
Can't have a wedding without them. Chanté.
Or without diamonds.
Yeah, obviously. Well, that's a given. Chanté Cutter for makeup. The Bad Brides Club for hair and makeup. Alina and Corey, they're fabulous. Mains by Mia, Lauren Baxter. Oh my God, I could go on and on. I mean, you can go on my Instagram and you can click on any of the photos on my grid and it'll tell you all the fabulous vendors that I work with.
Sarah's one of the best people to stalk if you want inspiration for weddings. And a little tip, always go to tagged photos and go to our tagged photos as well, because you'll just get so much more.
Yeah.
I think it's always a good place to explore if you have some time, and especially if you don't have a wedding planner to kind of guide you through that. Okay, we got one other question online, which I thought was interesting. As a wedding planner, what would you do if you did not kind of agree with your bride's vision? And I'm not talking like pink flowers versus white flowers. I'm talking about, they kind of want something that you don't think logistically for whatever reason could work. How do you handle a situation like that?
I mean, that happens all the time. It's not that the vision doesn't work. It's just, pivoting in certain areas based on the venue or the time of year. If you want, peonies and you're in the winter, it's not really a winter flower. So we have to pivot, and we work with the florist and they give different suggestions. So I always I try not to have any secrets with my clients and just flat out say it.
And manage expectations.
Yeah, because if I don't say it, then as it gets closer or as anything develops, like I'm the one that's going to then have to fix it or make a bride upset. And like, that's the last thing I would want to do.
Okay, one last question. So obviously we all live in a instant gratification, social media heavy world. And if you're a bride, you are being fed wedding content left and right. How, as a bride, do you kind of advise to stick to your own vision and not get distracted by everything out there? Is there a point where you just kind of have to close the blinds, turn off the notifications and just focus on yourself? Like, do you have brides coming to you being like, I thought I wanted X, but I saw this on Instagram? And let's say it's 3 months out from their wedding. Like, what do you do in a case like that? What's your advice for those brides who are like, am I doing it right, or could I be doing better or different?
Yeah, I mean, every bride that comes to me, I always say there's usually time until the wedding. So I tell them to save pictures, try to come up with what their vision is. And if you change your mind, you change your mind. Like, there's nothing that I think is impossible to change or fix. But I do say that Instagram is like, you go into a black hole. It is a blessing and a curse. It has been a blessing for me with business and with a lot of different companies, just spreading the word. But there's some times when a bride sends me a picture, I'm like, that's not real. Like, that is clearly like made up. So yes, they do openly share things with me where I'm like, I don't suggest doing that. I'd rather you do something like this, or like this will look better. But I think for those brides that, are wondering how to not go into that dark hole. I mean, I've had brides completely shut down their Instagram accounts because they don't want to feel like they need.
Too much.
Yeah, it's too much. It's overwhelming. So that's more of like you have to personally want to like shut everyone else out. And when I get hired, a lot of my clients, they say, oh, you probably got a million different recommendations from everyone and their mother because you are now engaged. I was like, take them as suggestions, write them down, but now it's like, let's focus on you. Like, let's hire the vendors that are correct for you and like make sure it's, tailored more and custom to the bride and groom.
I love it. I think that's great advice. If you were to give one last piece of advice to all of our Versolo brides and our community, what would it be?
Plan at your own pace, whether you have a planner or not. Do not feel try to avoid being overwhelmed by like putting some sort of a deadline on yourself to make decisions. Like, it's not the case that you snap your fingers and you decided all of your vendors within a week of booking it, or that there's a particular timeline to lock it all in. I think that is why people get so stressed out. Even my own clients, they think that it should have been done yesterday, but sometimes like it can't because like vendors don't answer or we're not getting responses fast enough. So I think you just have to control the environment that's around you by taking and listening to your friends and family, but focusing on you and your fiance. And just remembering that it's about the two of you. Like, stop comparing yourself to everyone else that you're seeing or going to, and just have fun with it. Have fun with it.
It's going to be the best weekend of your life.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Sarah,
Thank you for having
Conversations
me.
from the Vault. We're so excited, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.